does Luna end up with? Wrong answer.
Right? There was actually and this is just, an aside, but there was how everybody's doing AI Hogwarts stuff.
Yeah,
There was
hate
one
it.
with them and their children, or them in the future. And there was a whole bunch of people on the one with Luna going, well, that's Neville. So who's in the next picture? And I was people,
Y'all.
people. I didn't
Oh.
comment because, let people have their fantasy.
It's
But
not even a rando like Astoria Greengrass. Like she marries Rolf Scamander.
yeah, I know. I
I
know.
know.
I know.
No, what it is,
Anyway.
I mean, honestly, I mean, it's book versus movie. Obviously, people know the books. I mean, know the movies, but it's also just it's so predictable. Like it's the same reason I was never a Harry or Hermione fan. It's just so done. It's boring.
I'm with you.
Well, and you don't need to give every man that finally wields a sword a dame at the end.
I'm sorry. Isn't that
Throw
the
that out there.
rule? If you're a man who wields a sword, you get a dame. I think that's the Third Amendment
Yeah.
to the
I was
Yeah.
going to say you actually should get like two. Yeah.
Quick side note, because you know what? Well, whatever, we're already off the rails. Um, there's an amazing book that I read last summer by, oh no, Stephen King.
Okay.
And it's an
Okay.
incredible book until the second to last chapter, when for no reason, one of the females throws herself at the main male character once like all the, everything's tied up and wrapped up in a bow. She throws herself at him for something that he's like, we both know that this is, just a one night thing. Like, why?
Wow.
Why? Why do you have to put that in? So
Because
anyway,
formulaic shit works. But
Neville,
anyway,
Luna, and Ginny,
here's
who
what I
all
here's
end very happily.
right. But here's what I realized reading back at our notes over Neville and Luna. They had a lot of things in common. We talked about that. But weirdly, all the stuff that they have in common is the opposite of Ginny.
I also noticed that looking at notes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like they
Yep.
both lost a parent. Jenny's got not just a parent, but everybody in their brother in her family.
Yeah. Yeah.
They both are
Grandparents.
only children. She's got 6 brothers, apparently cousins, aunts, and uncles that we only meet one of. Neville is shy and quiet. Luna is quietish and we'll say standoffish, just in the manner of staying away from people. Ginny's in the middle of everything, loud, boisterous, crazy. Like I was like, she's the reason the 3 of them could be so successful, is what I came to. Because left to their own devices, the 2 of them would never have taken charge.
Yeah.
No.
And I think, and we weren't in the room of requirement 7th year, I know, but it just like putting Ginny in that mix, I was like, okay, well, that's where the fire came from. That's where the we can do this came from. Because
I always pictured it was a little bit Neville too. Like I feel like Neville finally got that fire around, I don't know, something. I feel like after 6th year when Harry didn't come back, he sort of came into his own.
well,
And I
yes,
think
he
Ginny's
did.
cheering probably got him,
And that's
which I
that's
can
what I'm
see
saying.
that, but
Yeah.
Look
Right,
at the 7th year boys who were left. Neville was not the one anybody would have suspected would have stepped up.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying. Of the 7th year boys in all the houses that were there, he would have needed a push. He would have needed a reason. And I could see Ginny giving him that reason and pushing him to do it.
Yeah. And it's interesting that because he was the person who was almost the chosen one, you take the chosen one out of the picture, and there he is.
There you go. Exactly.
It all
behind the curtain, the resident Brit just brought up some pulled pork sandwiches. our neighbor was smoking pulled pork all day yesterday. So if I'm
You
a little,
already showed it to us. Like,
I'm
did you
like,
have
you
to
showed it to us.
like?
I was about to say, if I'm a
Did,
little extra quiet while Mel and Sam are talking, it's because I'm chomping. Thank you.
thanks, thanks.
Thank you.
Should see their faces, y'all. Like they are looking at me disgusted.
Well, okay. Anyway, the other thing
You know
is,
what? At the next episode, I'm gonna be like, hang on, I'm gonna be really quiet. I'm just eating this incredible chocolate cake. Oh my gosh,
Dude,
it's
you have
so
done ice
gooey.
cream. You have done ice cream for dinner.
Shh. My mom's not supposed to know that.
so
I
back
eat
to
better
our
now.
topic, people.
So yeah,
Other
yep.
thing I thought of is one of the things we said was that they are the Harry and Hermione opposites of the book when we were talking about Neville and Luna. And it is still true if you add Ron and Ginny.
Yes. Oh
Like
my God, yes.
that she literally slides in to this threesome and makes a very similar trio.
There's just trios all over the place.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of trios in the story, but like
But this one in particular is
this one
very,
matches Harry, Ron, and
yeah.
Hermione so much.
And
And
the Weasleys are not the similar ones.
right, right. And
But
then
in some ways, they are similar. If you think about it in the sense of the ones with the family, the ones with the stable home, the ones with the that's
Well, yeah, because they came
yeah.
from the same family. But
Right.
as far as their part in the trio,
No. I agree. I'm
Luna's
just
gonna be the friend.
right.
Ginny's gonna be the firebrand,
mhm,
and Neville's the chosen one.
perfect. On top of which, if you think about their place in Harry's life, each of them plays a very important role in his life too,
Oh
even though
yeah,
they're not Ron and Hermione.
yeah, you're right. Neville does teach him how to dance. No, I'm just kidding.
He teaches him how to dance. He teaches him how to be a friend
From an early
from a
age.
very early age. He teaches him how to support others because Neville needed some support, you know.
Yeah. And it's another level when Harry finds out about I said level, right? Not
You did.
Neville. Okay, good.
You did.
My
It's
brain
another
is
Neville.
it's another level. When Harry realizes what's happening with Neville's parents,
Yeah.
he goes through this whole thing of like, oh my gosh, I he has them, but he doesn't really have them. We're fairies, and that's just more similarities that are pulled out between the two of them. So yeah, having this bronze trio, if you will, makes sense for the story and makes sense for Hogwarts. It's what
Yeah.
Hogwarts needed
Yeah.
while the Golden Trio was doing Golden Trio shit.
So let's go back and think about, I mean, obviously, Neville and Jenny are not great, the best of friends or anything that we see through 1 through 6. Luna and Jenny, we assume were in classes together, knew each other pretty well, were probably very friendly. Okay. Luna, Neville, not really until Dumbledore's army did they even probably know each other. But then, I'm sure they're friendly, and they all went to the Department of Mysteries.
Yeah.
Forms a bond. But what do you see in your headcanon as we just got back to school? Harry, Ron, and Hermione did not come back. They're off doing Dumbledore approved crap we can't know about. Harry has ended our relationship, thanks Ginny. What's the conversation that pulls the three of them together to do this 7th year?
Okay, so my headcanon is slightly different but the same. I think
I didn't give you a headcanon.
No, slightly based off of something that's slightly different but similar.
Okay.
Ginny and Neville went to the Yule Ball together. And in my head, they have been friends ever since.
Okay.
But I think both of them in many, many ways were fan lovers, fans of Harry. And I think sitting at the Gryffindor table, no Harry, is what brought them together. And Ginny brought Luna into that.
Okay. That
I
you think that
yeah,
that like first night they had the conversation, we're going to be fighting?
Not that they're fighting, but I think that that's the. I think within the first 3 weeks, they started planning the stealing of the sword. I think at that point they were, I think within 3 weeks, but I think that first night at the table, they gravitated to each other for the lack of Harry.
Okay. Okay.
interesting. I think it would have taken longer. I think they all, even Ginny, although maybe slightly less so, in the first, I think the timing feels right to me, the about 3 weeks. But in the first 3 weeks, they're just kind of keeping their heads down, taking a lay of the land, like figuring out the carows and all this stuff. And then it comes to a head when like a first year is tortured or something that instigates their need for justice, and they go back to the people that they know that they can trust to make sure justice is accomplished. And I it would seem like it would be Ginny, but I kind of want it to be Neville who says like, "Hey, can you guys meet me in the library?" Because I think from the Neville that we see in the seventh book, it seems like we were talking about he's coming into his own, and it just seems like he'll be the one that says, "Hey, remember the DA? Remember all this stuff we did together? We can do this again. Let's just focus." Because Ginny would just start hexing people, whatever. Right? She needs an organized mind.
And see, and I went a completely different way, which is similar mixing of you two, but
Yeah.
I think one of the first year that was tortured was a Ravenclaw.
Ooh.
And Luna and the three of them were near it. They saw it, they lived, they whatever. And the brash act first, think later Gryffindors were ready to like fight. And Luna, in her calm way, was like, you know what? Harry taught us about about how to fight, but I think we need to find a better way to do it. You guys should meet me in the library and we can figure out a plan to get back at them for what they did to little Joanna.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and you know
I
what?
think it was Luna. I really do, because nothing about the Gryffindors we know and love is, except for Hermione, is like forth thinking.
Because that's why they're Gryffindors, because they just bail in. And I love the idea that years later when they're talking about like, oh, how'd you get it reignited? None of them can remember who actually was the first person to say something.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I can see that. But I will disagree on one thing, and then I had a headcanon pop in my head that I now love. I think Ginny was very good at making plans, because when we see her helping Harry sneak into Umbridge's office, she's the one trying to help come up with the plan and getting
I think you misunderstand me. I'm not saying that they're not good at making plans.
Yeah.
I'm saying first reaction for all of them is not, let's step back and make a plan.
No, I agree with that. So that's why I said somewhat. But the
Hex first, ask questions later.
but the headcanon that popped in my head, I don't know why. I pictured, because later on they go to detention with Hagrid and that's a whole thing. I all of a sudden pictured in my head Hagrid inviting Ginny down to the hut to talk about like passing messages from her family, letting her know the DA, that Dumbledore's army, the Order of the Phoenix members are still okay, blah blah blah. Neville tags along and Luna just wanders in. Like I can her wandering into Hagrid's hut, and then through Hagrid, as they're leaving together, they start